Hi, this is Ethan. Have you ever wanted to easily see when your requested storage for a persistent volume claim, also known as a PVC, does not match your current storage capacity? Today we are going to be doing just that using Kubevious rules. Before we go into making them though, let's see our setup by going into the cluster browser. We have a PVC called Task1 PV claim. We also have another PVC called Task2 PV claim. As you can see, there's a marker next to Task1 PV claim. The marker is a yellow disk. This marker indicates that the PVC storage requested does not equal its actual storage capacity. Meanwhile, the other PVC does not have this because they do match. We can verify this by looking at the Properties tab for each PVC. As you can see, the PVC for Task1 does not match, while Task2 does match. If we want a quicker way to find all this info, we can go into search and type task. As you can see, the search shows results from multiple clusters. To filter further, we can select persistent volume claim, then the desired marker, and then expand one of the clusters. Now we can click on our persistent volume claim and see that it does indeed have a marker next to it in the cluster browser. Why do we want to see when our storage capacity requested does not equal our actual storage capacity? First off, it can help us tell when something's wrong with a PVC. If a PVC is supposed to be using much more storage than it actually is, then that could indicate that something's wrong with its setup, such as there being a random typo in the file. Second, it's helpful for telling when we're over-provisioning storage for a given PVC that doesn't actually need all that storage. This can help us to detect when we should lower the storage requested for a PVC. Having a PVC request too much storage when it doesn't actually need all that storage could also block out other PVCs from using that storage, even if they might need it more. Finally, in general, it can just help with optimizing your storage usage by fixing incorrect values for the storage capacity. Now that we know why we want to see when our requested storage for a PVC does not match our actual storage provided, let's get started. First, let's go to Rules and create a new rule, and type down storage capacity match for its name. Next, let's type down select persistent volume claim. This will send all the PVCs in the cluster to our rule script. We can now go to our rule script section. Let's type down the following, which gets the capacity requested from all the PVCs. We can now type down the following to repeat the process for getting the actual capacity provided for the PVC. We can now write an if statement to check if the capacity provided does not equal the actual capacity requested. Now let's add a warning and a marker for each persistent volume claim where the storage capacity requested does not match its actual storage capacity provided. We can now hit create to apply our rule. Let's go to the markers section and create a marker called capacity error with a yellow disk to represent storage. As a side note, for the markers to work correctly, you must make sure that the name matches the name you put inside the mark function. Now let's look at our results. As you can see in the cluster browser, each PVC that's misconfigured is shown with a disk marker. We can go into the details to see if this is all correct. As you can see, the marker appears for task 1, which has a different capacity requested and capacity provided. Meanwhile, our task 2 PVC has the same requested and provided capacity, so it has no marker. Now we can see our markers are all correct. We can go into affected objects for each rule and also verify that it's working this way. As you can see, all the same containers listed in the cluster browser with a marker are also listed here, which confirms that the rule does indeed work. Anyhow, that's all for today. If you'd like to try this yourself, go to kubevious.io to start writing rules for your own cluster in just a few minutes. Thank you again for watching, and tune in next time to see how Kubevious can improve your Kubernetes workflow. Thank you!